Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be doing my AFL fantasy trade talk for round 8, going through who are the trade targets, who are we looking to offload, etc., and going through if there's any fake and baits. I think that there are a couple out there, and going through why who you should be targeting, in my opinion. So before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, that's the team at the moment, and I'll go through and you'll see here with the, even though I'll talk about it with the rookies, cash cows, there really isn't, here we go, there isn't anyone I like in the rookies section 200 or 300k, as you have Weddle here 282, and he's looked alright. The problem with him is only 8 touches, 5 marks, 5 tackles. So we are really looking at him and thinking, can he get 40-50 points? With that ratio, I don't think he can. I think he needs to be getting more disposals, and I'd like to see the Fremantle game before I jump on him, if I do, but I don't think I will because he's too pricey. I think if he was a 200k rookie and had that run, I think it'd be more beneficial, as his break-even would be 20 or 30 less, but and he'd have to, his break-evens week after week would be progressively less as well. So him being 282 and starting off as a non-200k rookie, or not even a 250k plus rookie, has really stunted him, as he only went up 16k. I should probably make this just fractionally bigger. Then Moyle's not going to play. Angwin's another guy that I've looked into, and he's sort of similar to what I was saying with Weddle, in that he does have this 50 point score and backed it up with a 45. He looks to have cemented his place in the side, so that's a good thing. And he will be, I think, the rookie downgrade I do go with if I was to go a Steele or someone else that we'll talk about later, as most people are going to have probably somewhere over 1 to 1.2 million worth of cash remaining to be able to do a 1 up, 1 down, as that's sort of the season that we're in at the moment, part of the year we're in. And so Angwin didn't play, Boner didn't play, Matthew Johnson is suspended, he didn't play, Stewart got subbed out of the game on 29, so stopped his 43 streak and stopped his cash flow really. True, Joyce, Cordy is not really a rookie. Young has got a 42 and really hasn't shown any growth, I should say, as he started off as a 200k guy but hasn't really grown. Then you got Artie Jones, a 50 score, so that should be alright, but I want to see another score from him before maybe jumping on at 260, 270k if he has a low break even. Blank Lord was alright, but again, a 30 score, I believe it was, 29 score after a 37, leading to an average of 33 isn't good enough. So there's no one else here really to talk about. And then after, in the 300Ks, you're really not looking at anyone. I mean, Aikens is a guy that some people will trade in, 7% owned, so maybe he's starting to become less of a risk, but he's 28 years old and has been in and out of the system, so I don't know whether, I'm probably going to have to look into it more, whether the coach actually trusts him or not, because it doesn't really look like the coach trusts him 100%, and that's why I think you'll see that he has a big potential to just be dropped like that, a Constable. So I think we can't go with Aikens. Then you have Simpson here, again, a midfield forward, even though he's a key position player, and or feels like a key position player, and 72 but followed by a 47. Doesn't look too promising, I'll be honest with you, and has the Crows, Richmond, Freo, Giants, Western Bulldogs into the bye, so a pretty good bye run, but into the bye, and he also has the good bye round, but I wouldn't trust him. And then there's no one really. If we look at, there is someone that I do want to talk about here. So you have King here, wouldn't touch him. Williams, wouldn't touch him, he's too pricey now at his price. Neil Murray, no one else here, but there is Davies. He did get a 56 after a 43 in round 1, 56 with only 60% time on ground. So I don't know what's happening there. Maybe if he does get dropped, which could be a case, I don't think he will, but if he does get dropped, that could really help out Fiorini and Fiorini owners, as Fiorini's ownership was his CBAs was only 24, I want to say, or something. He only attended like 3 CBAs. It might have been even 9 or something. Let me look that up now, because you'll see what I'm talking about with the CBAs for, not GWS, for Gold Coast. If we go Fiorini, 14%, he only had 3, so it looks like Weller attended 5, Humphrey 2, Chol attended whatever, Witts didn't, and then have Davies attending 6. So it doesn't look positive for any Fiorini things, because he did drop in CBAs of 30%. So if we're talking about him, that's the only problem I have with Fiorini, even though he did drop a 112, because though I think with how his ownership is tracking, if it gets towards that 9, 10, 11%, I'm all right in getting him. And then as that's mitigating the risk a little bit more, but also is sort of still a player of difference. And then you've got not many here to talk about. 400Kers. Kemp is another guy. I don't know whether he's going to be in the game. So, I mean, in the system for much longer, how his job security is. And that's something we got to figure out. As a 107 from him, if you get him, if I get him, for instance, I can do a lot more damage with, like, for those who, he's almost a rookie. Like, he's just almost dipping out of a rookie, and he'll have an amazing break even, and getting up to gaining another 50, 60k from the likes of Jimby, or even just a straight swap with Philippou, and getting him up to someone could be huge for people. So he's a guy that you got to look out for, and look at his ownership go up a little bit. I expect him to probably be 5% owned when the round starts. No one else here. The problem with him is that he is the first game, and I don't really want to lock my trades in for at the first game. So unless I know something like that, he will be there for weeks to come. Then you have Will Powell here. He's actually starting to kick up quite well. 51, 86, 49. So I just don't like this consistency. If this 86 had come here and it was 51, 49, 86, 79, 127, I think that would be better value, but he is 597. We'd probably be looking at him more if he was like 500k, but considering he's 597, I don't think he's an option. Ballard's played every single game. He did have an 18 against Essendon. If you take that 18 out, he's probably looking closer towards, he's probably looking closer towards 70, to be honest, that average wise. And that'll be huge. But I don't think you can trust him necessarily. Yes, there's a pretty good run of form, but we haven't really seen those consistent 80s, 85-ish. They've all been 50s, 60s or so. So I wouldn't go for him. Reeves, I think, is a year too early. Chandler's really burnt me as he continues to grow. Bailey, Horn Francis, a pretty good game from him. In that St Kilda game, he had like 11 clearances, but I wouldn't go for him. Callahan's continued to grow, which is annoying. Cunnington, Lewis, Williams, no one else here really that I'm looking at. Chase Jones had a pretty good run, so anyone who owned him and got in before this Hawks game, he's starting to return now, but his inconsistency is there. Is there anyone else? Joe Hannison, I think it's too late now to get him. Anyone else? I don't think so. I'll switch to a 3-round average to see these guys. There's no one else here that I'm really looking at, because even with Will Powell, he's still an 85 last 3. Then in the 600k, if you really wanted to go unique, you could go Isaac Keaney. I mean, his ownership is 6%, and I don't know if it's gone down or up. But, I mean, if we see another 80s, 85, 90 return from him, he might be an option, especially because he has a good buy. And I might be able to get up to him, because I'll have 13k though, and that's kind of annoying. But I'll have 13k plus I might be able to do Ollie Holland and Philippou and change that out and get a 200k guy in. And that might just get me enough, as Ollie Hollands could go up to 490 or so, and he needs break even. He'll go up obviously, but I think I can make up some ground with Hollands and Philippou and get up to him, and that would mean that I'd have six forwards in place, 5 defenders, and already 4 mids, and still got the 3 mid prices in the mids as well. So that is certainly an option next week, but I think you want to wait another week with him. Noble, I've actually toyed around with a little bit, but I think that there is guys in Collingwood, or not Collingwood, but guys around the league, such as Brayshaw and others, that can really not only hit 85 consistently, but can go 140, 150, 160. Even Brayshaw, high of 48, high of 98 and a low of 45. If you take that 45 out, he's still averaging close to probably I think it's something like 80 or 90. 80, probably 82, 83, I'm guessing. 7 times 77.7 minus 45 divided by 6, he would be averaging 83 if you take out that 45. So that's why I've gone for him, and that's why I think others should consider him. And he's not really changing in ownership. So I think this is the week or next week where he goes nuts, and I'm willing to risk it a little bit going early on him, as Salem should be back this week or next. And that's really going to push his CBAs up, I think. And it will see, I think, Viney's CBAs drop a little bit if we go to Melbourne. If we look at the actual games, has he had anything? Not really. Viney's had 60 to 70%. But if we look at 2022, as you see, Max Gawn, I think Tom Sparrow is taking up a little bit of the time, because they've got all their forwards, but they have a couple of defenders are still out injured, and I think that's why they haven't been able to get him in. And if we look here, Tom Sparrow 32%, and that was only when Brayshaw wasn't in. And you can see here Brayshaw having that huge numbers, and we also see it was basically Brayshaw, Petrarca. Petrarca had some more time out, so that might be bad for me that Petrarca is getting more forward time. But I'm willing to take the risk with how Petrarca is playing, and that Petrarca is already in my team and he's doing all right. So I think Brayshaw can only go up from here. He cannot go down with the break even that he's got. I'm pretty sure it's like 80 or so. That he can't really dip much more in price. Then you got Noble, Boak. No one else here that I'm really looking at. Hunt's not really a go at any point now. He's too expensive. And then you've got here, if you really wanted a guy with a good buy round and that's really turning up, I would go with McPherson. 92 average, and last 3 of 106, last 5 of 99.6, so really, really good. And I think he's got perfect buy, a pretty good run into the buy, I'm pretty sure. Melbourne, he should do all right, because it's just going to live down there. And West Coast, he seems to be the guy that takes kickouts, and also they like to kick to him quite a lot, so he should do fine in that. The Gabba, he should get a lot of kickouts as scoring opportunities from Brisbane. They like to score roughly one goal one, so if they have 35-40 opportunities, he's going to get potentially 30 points just from kickouts or so. Then you have Western Bulldogs, sort of similar as well, and then Adelaide will be a tough game. That'll be a tough game. Are they playing at TIO Stadium? Where is that? Is that some regional stadium? Then you have no one else here. I mean, you could go unique and go Matty Rowell, but I think a lot of the fantasy community is so burnt from Matty Rowell in the last couple of years that it's just a no-go. I mean, I was burnt in my first year from Matty Rowell, so I'm not going to go back there. I mean, I did consider it, but I think I needed to see a little bit more jump up in the marks category, as this could just be sort of a game-by-game trend from him, not really a trend from Took going down. Then you have Toby Green, Houston, Laddams. Laddams is going to take up a minor role now that Hickey's back. Whether he gets straight dropped or Hickey comes, or he goes into the forward line, I don't know, but 1.7% owned, so that's pretty good. And Butters here, 93 in his last 3. I mean, we've seen a 110, an 88, and an 82, and an 83. I mean, he's an all right pick, but I just think there are so many better options out there, and it seems like he's just going to go 80s this year at the point now, and I'm pretty sure he's coming into a tough run, isn't he? Nope. He's coming into Essendon. Will be a tough game for him, I think. North will be a pretty easy game. And then you've got Melbourne. That's a tough game. Richmond, that should be... It might be tough, actually, by the time that they come back, as they should have some returning players. Hawks should be a good game for him. Western Bulldogs and Geelong. But he does have that annoying bye, and you really want only premiums. Or you don't really want him on that bye round, considering the people that you have there. Hewitt, Lockie Weller, I think, has dipped just because of that game that he had last week of a 67, and I don't think he's going to be on many people's minds, especially if he's got that new role. And that's why I do think you could look at one more game of Ballard and the other, is it Powell, and see how they're impacted by the Lockie Weller into the midfield. If they go 100 again, you might be able to jump on one of them again, and that could really help. And then you've got here Newman, Shearer, Cogs, Akers. All of these guys are good choices if you have the ability to get them. The only problem with them is they are pretty much all round 15 bye guys. All of these guys. I wouldn't be going Darcy just because of English and Marshall are 10 times better than him. And so I wouldn't be going him. Cripper, again, another guy with a round 15 bye. Josh Dacos has been ridiculous these last couple of weeks, and has really shown that he could be a player of difference for you guys. But the only problem I have with him is a 115 higher score. He doesn't have the capability now to go huge, and that's what you really need at the 800k region, is a guy that's able to go 130, 140 on occasion. But one thing I do like about Dacos is he's going to give you a pretty consistent output. So he's actually turning out to be probably the premier winger of the comp now. I'd say pretty... especially fancy-wise. Well, fancy-wise, you have Shearer, who's probably ahead... Not Shearer, Akers, who's ahead of him. But, well, they're pretty much even, aren't they? Yeah. They're 0.8 behind at Dacos. But those two seem to be two of the better wingers in the comp for fancy-wise. And there's no one else here. Short is a guy that you could go on. Short is definitely a guy you could jump on. The only problem with him is, like I've been saying, I've been limited to not basically picking any round 15 bye guys, because it's going to be tough to get points off of them, especially if I go for an 8th premium there, as it will mean that after the first round, I'll be basically trading out. I don't think I'll have enough trades to be able to get a lot of them off the field to get, because I really only want to be holding 4 premiums or so. So to get Short off the field would be tough. And yeah, and then there's no one else here. I mean, Kelly has the good buy round, doesn't he? Or an alright buy round, and he's been alright, so you could think of him. Sinclair's a guy that I've seen pop up quite a lot, and he's got a good buy, so you could jump on him, and I think his role is getting better. And I think Brayshaw is another guy in a week's time that we could jump on, as he looks to be returning to his best, and I think he could be back to those 105 plus scores each week almost, and as he's fully recovered from his injury. So, and he also has the round 12 bye, which is really favourable. So him and Sarong are the only guys that I'd look for at Freo, but I'd be waiting a week to see how that new system works again. And there's no one else really. I mean, 900k plus you have, obviously, you could pretty much go for any of these guys. My two standouts would be Noah Anderson and Jack Steele. Steele is a guy that I would go for if it means that I can get... it means that I can not take a risk on... it would basically... The only reason I would get Steele is if Wilmot had a really good game in 80 or 90 and I could field him. And by the time of... and that would mean that I'd have to field Ollie Hollands and then upgrade Ollie Hollands to a premium with Philippou next week. Probably to, hopefully, one of the Gold Coast boys. So that's the trade target. A very, very long video, that one, because this week is probably the most crucial week for trading as you start to consider your buy rounds, as well as the fact that I think this will be a movement week, especially after everyone did so well. I don't expect this to be as high scoring this round. I mean, you've got some tough matchups as well. There are some really big fancy teams against some others. I mean, you have a Brisbane versus Carlton game, so that could be really interesting to see how the Brisbane guys go against the Carlton guys, especially those midfielders that went all like 100 plus last week. So we'll see how that goes, and I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks, guys. Goodbye.